So here we are, yet again, at the end of another season. The Dragoon Cup beckons, ladies and gentlemen, and there can only be one winner at the end of it. Now, this year's Dragoon Cup is a little bit different from that of last year, so let me quickly go through the changes. First of all, each contender is running into the Dragoon Cup with 3 separate decks. There may only be 3 copies of each card in between these decks. So for example, if deck 1 has 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spling, deck 2 and 3 can have 0. Limited cards are only allowed at 1 copy total, and so on and so forth. Basically put, each contender will be bringing 3 separate decks to the matchup, and when they win a game with that deck, the deck cannot be used again for that match. Meaning, if deck 1 wins a game, you have to use deck 2 and 3 to play the next one. If both deck 1 and 3 have won, you only have deck 2 left. When all of your decks have won a game, you have gone through. Now, for this event, there's going to be 2 separate videos. This video, which is the official finale to the series, which will just cover my duels and everything alongside the series from there. And in the description down below, you'll have a link to a separate video which will show off every duel that was from the Dragoon Cup, including the ones that weren't mine. You can watch this one first and watch the second one and skip my duels if you wish. Without the further ado, though, that was really weird, I'm going to show you the decks that I decided to run after doing all of the crafting off screen. We decided for our first deck, we are in fact running our Scrap Orcus deck. This just became the best sort of side choice, simply because we needed a way to not have to craft as much using wildcards, and this deck was the most complete one we had access to. We did in fact use a star chip to get a Crusadia Avermax, but that's literally the only thing we did. It's not the best one, I will say, but it did well enough throughout the series that I think it can cheat out a game or 2, which is all it needs to do. Considering how the structure of the tournament is, we also get to choose when we go first, which is when we'll pick this deck out. Our second deck, we've chosen Drytron. Drytron was incredibly powerful during testing, and it is a very hard deck to out if Drytron gets to go first. It's basically our ace in the hole, if nothing else. We should, consistently enough, be able to put out a board that a lot of people are going to be unable to break. Our last deck is going to be Live Twin Eldritch. This deck cost us literally almost everything in terms of wildcards to create, but we decided to do it anyway. The only wildcard that wasn't spent for this specific deck was 1 Avermax in the Scrap Orcus deck, and 1 Diviner of the Herald in the Drytron deck. Now, with all of that explanation out of the way, we head into the first game of the Dragoon Cup. Unfortunately, our opponent is Mothman. We have statistically done terrible against Mothman throughout the entire series, going 1-7 in games so far. This does not bode well for us, but we are going to give it our goddamn all. Let's go. So for the first duel of the Dragoon Cup, we are playing Drytron up against Mothman's zombies. And oh god, what a starting hand that we have. We are going to blow out our entire Drytron combo here, but ending up on a Verte Anaconda first, because we unfortunately don't have enough targets to do anything else. We managed to go into the Exceed monster, pitching the Zeta we need to start our actual ritual summoning, which is really lucky because we didn't have access to it, we wouldn't have been able to. We summoned the Diviner, throwing away our Herald, searching the Corantids at this point because we already have all the other targets in our hand and we can't really do anything else. We're going to pitch the Ben 10 to get the Eva, which is going to be banned soon, but thank god it's not for this tournament. To get the 2 targets we need, we are going to do a bunch of ritual and summoning bullshit, ending on Dragoon, 2 negates off of our Herald, and our Mirage Lights in case everything goes wrong. He attempts to go for the Eldritch on our dude there, but we go for a Suarvis negate, which is another interaction we have. And unfortunately, even though Mothman throws his entire deck at us, we have enough negates to stop him dead in his tracks. He's going to end on nothing but 2 back row here, but as you can probably tell, it's not going to be quite enough to beat Drytron as we summon an Apollousa with 2 negates. He brings out an Eldritch, we pop it, and that will be game, sir. Game number 2 then, he is once again choosing to bring the zombies out, and we have swapped into Eldritch, Life Twin or Life Twin Lich or whatever we're calling it. This time, however, Mothman gets to go first and brings out his Unizombie, Zombie World, Balladrock, Kriston, Halki, Fibrax, and oh god, it's happening. Decode Talker gets summoned for I think the first time ever, but it is a negate, I guess, so why not? We're now contending with Zombie World, 2 Balladrocks, and a negate off of our Decode Talker, which is super annoying because we can't pop Zombie World thanks to this, and any attempt we do at actually breaking the board is going to be met with the fattest of no. However, thanks to our Sunny Snitch, we're actually able to search the one Life Twin that actually gets our plays started here, the Kisakill Frost. Doing this, we are going to draw a turn, and unfortunately we draw into Driver, which doesn't help us in the slightest. We go over one of the negates, which is Decode Talker. We bring out our 2 twins again to pop the Zombie World. He brings out another Eldritch, we gain 200, he loses 200, thanks to Sunny Snitch, and then we go into a second even Twill, well, Trouble Sunny. The only reason we do this is because we want to have a play on our opponent's turn, but unfortunately, the last card he has set is a Super Poly, which managed to get him into Muddy Mud Dragon. At this point, he's going to banish one of the Trouble Sunnies, and now we need to draw into a Live Twin to actually use its effect, which is terrible. We protect ourselves with the Conquistador for 1 turn, which is of course going to tag out in the end step. He goes into Barricade Borg Blocker, forgetting he needs to discard a card to use it, and at this point, he has the Eldritch on board, so he can just bring out a Necroworld Banshee, do the Necroworld Banshee using the Zombie World and getting his Balladrock back. Now we're once again in a tough position, because if we had a spell or trap in hand, we could have actually used Eldritch here to bait out a negate, but unfortunately we do not. We simply have to end instead on the back row of literally nothing, which is about as bad as it's gonna get. He draws a freaking Golden City off the top, setting himself Golden Land Forever, which is basically just a Zalem Judgment if he has Eldritch on board. And unfortunately, that is going to be a lot for us to bust through. He goes into battle phase and breaks our Eldritch as well as our Conquistador on field. He sets a Hakero, which is going to get rid of our Eldritch, unfortunately. It is not looking that great for us. We draw for turn, it's a Leela. That is just not going to be enough. We needed that to be a spell or literally anything else. He goes to banish a card, and he banishes the second Trouble Sunny, which is the card we needed to actually do anything here. So game 2 goes to Mothman. Unfortunate. Game number 3 then, we are now on Scrap Orcust against Mothman's Mystic Mine, and he's opened 3 Prohibition. What the hell, man? We do manage to start with Gearsu here, getting us into a very basic Orcust combo. We choose not to use the Scrap Raptor one here because we are 1, afraid of Nibiru, and 2, we have our Fusion Destiny in hand. Fusion Destiny here is going to do quite a bit, as we activated with a Masquerena on board, as it's the only thing we can do. We pass over to Mothman's turn. We're going to activate the Nightmare to send a skeleton. He will activate his Pot of Prosperity, banishing 6, finding off the top a Goddess's Scold's Oracle, meaning he wants to start rearranging our deck. At this point, he's going to activate Prohibition, naming DPE. We're going to bring back our Orcus to get rid of the first one. He's going to play the second one, naming DPE again. We are going to use Masquerena's effect to go into Unicorn to spin it back. And he's going to use the third one, which, well, I guess I'm forced to use DPE now, and we break the last one. Mystic Mine gets dropped, and he thinks he's high and mighty using Skuld's Oracle to rearrange our deck, forgetting that DPE destroys itself at the end of the turn, thanks to Destiny Hero Fusion, whatever. Destiny Fusion. Fusion Destiny. Yes. It breaks itself at the end of the turn here, and we are absolutely going to be able to OTK the man, thanks to the fact that he has no interaction on our turn, and we have a board full of bunguses. He simply chooses to scoop them up, and we go to Game 4. Game 4 then, we have one deck left that needs a win, and it is Live Twin Eldritch, and he has once again chosen to go for the Mystic Mine. He's going to normal summon Planet Pathfinder. We're going to hit it with the Infinite Impermanence, and he's going to get rid of it, setting up his Prohibition, naming Eldritch, but we top deck the Harpies. Okay, we have a real chance here. We're going for the Sunny Snitch, searching ourselves a Kisakill. We're going to use Kisakill to summon Leela. Blah, 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 blah. Pink goes into blue. They go into blue. Blue summons pink. They summon big one. We draw a card, and oh my god, we draw Eldritch. We actually have the OTK. Holy shit, we have the OTK. We just pop everything on board, going for maximum damage, then activating Trouble Sunny's effect to summon back both Leela and Kisakill, and holy shit, we've beaten Mothman. Holy crap. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but we have not been eliminated in the first round of the Dragoon Cup. We're on to the quarterfinals. What? Managing to beat Mothman in that final game was all up to the top deck of Harpy's Feather Duster, though. Without that, we would have been absolutely screwed. But holy crap, we actually managed to get there. We're going into quarterfinals. The issue with quarterfinals, though, we're playing up against Zukaku. If you guys have seen the series so far, you know that this is the man who's played nothing but meta decks the entire way through. This is going to be our hardest fight, hands down. If we can beat him, we have a serious chance at claiming the crown this year. Let's give it our absolute all. So here we go into game 1 against Zuikaku, and we're going to begin this with playing our live twin, Eldritch. We managed to open a Sunny Snitch yet again, which is going to search us blue, summoning pink, summoning blue, summoning pink, summoning big girl. You've probably seen this combo done like a bazillion times at this point, and then we simply set 4 because our entire hand is full of stuff we can't use. We immediately get hit by a Dark Ruler no more, and we're looking at Laeralisk Tri-Brigade. Oh god, this is not going to go well. Unfortunately, we don't really have a good matchup against Tri-Brigade with this, especially with this deck, because they have so many ways of just extending their combo consistently, and being out of Dark Ruler no more just means we are going to be staring down a Zeus with a massive amount of materials, and there is nothing we can do about it. Speaking of which, there comes the Nightingale. Nightingale's gonna swing into us. Of course, we take no damage thanks to Dark Ruler. Zeus comes out, and Zeus goes kablooey. We are forced to use our Infinite Impermanence here to force out another use of Zeus, and we're just going to bring out an Eldritch to the graveyard as well, because we may as well. At this point, though, he is just going to continue his Tri-Brigade shenanigans, because guess what? He still has not normal summoned. He did that entire play without normal summoning. It's insane. Going into Simorgh, thank god this card's gonna get banned soon. Simorgh is going to summon out the Barrier Wind Statue, which we literally have no card in the entire deck that can out it, because all of the Life Twin monsters have 500 attack. Also, Eldritch can't target it because of Simorgh, so game 1 to Zooey. There is not anything we can do with this deck against the Wind Statue. Going into game 2, however, we have facing Drytron against his Sky Strikers, and I do think we have a much better matchup here. We're going to go for the Fafnir, searching the Nova, activating the Nova to bring out a Gamma. A little bit unorthodox, but it'll do. We use our Alpha to search Ben 10. We're going to use Seda pitching Ben 10. You know the drill by this point, activating Ben 10 to search the Diviner. We're going to normal summon the Diviner, getting rid of a Herald. Herald searches us the actual negate this time. We search Suarvis. We're going to pitch the Quartonids here. Unfortunately, our plan here was to eventually end on the same combo as always, but we get hit with a Ghost Mourner, which is going to negate our Beatrice, which really sucks. We simply have to end on Dragoon using Beatrice's effect to search negates here. But the only thing he has available is a Widow Anchor, and at this point he knows he can't outplay the Dragoon, and therefore just scoops them up as we take game 2. Game 3, then, we're staring at Eldritch Life Twin versus Sky Strikers once again, and this is going to be way more interesting. He normal summons Ray into Shizuku. Shizuku searching Engage, and it is off to the races. He is holding 4 hand traps, though, but we're going to go for the Sunny Stitch, which searches a Life Twin. He negates our blue here, but thankfully we searched Kisikil Frost, so it's all fine. We're going to go for pink, attempting to bring it back, but then we get hit with a Ghost Bell, so we have to Secret Passcode, which gets hit with an Ash Blossom. Jesus Christ. At this point, though, we are able to go into Golden City, or searching the Eldritch here, popping the Shizuku, which is, of course, going to bring out Ray, but we don't really care. We're going to gain 200, he's going to lose 200. We're going to go for the Eldritch play here. Dumping a Hakeru to the graveyard. We're going to punch it in the face, which is going to bring out Hayate, which means he loses another 200. We punch him in the face again. He gets to send the Shark Cannon, meaning he's now ready to actually deal with us somewhat. We managed to bring out another Eldritch Trap, and we pass the turn. Engage is going to be fired, bringing out another Ray, unfortunately. We're going to go for the Keyskill Frost effect to draw a card. He is going to lose a bunch of life points for summoning a monster twice. This card is just really weird. It's just like poking you in the side constantly. Kagari is going to bring back Engage, of course. Engage is going to be fired off for a Widow Anchor. He's going to fire Afterburners here. We're going to attempt to bring back blue, but he's going to hit us with a second Ghost Bell. We're going to get hit with the Widow Anchor here. Now his hand is empty at this point. We're going to defend ourselves with our second Eldritch in deck. He's going to bring up Verti Anaconda, and now we're also staring down the DPE. Oh boy, DPE is going to pop our back row, which we kind of needed on the field, but I digress. We're going to draw for turn, and we draw into a second Gamma, which doesn't help us. We're going to set a back row, which is going to be Conquistador, which we're going to use to bring out Eldritch. With Eldritch on the board, we're just going to normal summon a Life Twin here. We're going to bash over his bash over his DPE, and end him on 1,000 life points, as we are actually have free reign of just doing the Life Twin combo. The Life Twin combo here is not necessarily that great, because it's only going to end us on a big Chungus and a single pop, which against DPE doesn't do much. He manages to top deck into, Called by the Grave is what I'm thinking of here, which is probably the best card he could find in the entire game at this specific moment. Unfortunately, we also get negated here, so we are just going to have to go to battle phase, bash over. He's going to attempt to destroy. We're going to summon an Eldritch. We're going to pop him, and he's going to Called by the Grave us. Ah! Pain. We had the game right here. If I just wasn't stupid, he wasn't going to be able to pop both of them, but such be the ways of the stupid TCGWolf, I guess. We could have easily had this one. Oh, well, he does manage to bring his DPE back, going for the airspace, and the only thing airspace has to do to trigger its effect is literally pop a card. At this point, he is actually going to find a Rose, which means he's not going to get to keep his DPE as it's sent to the graveyard. It is not destroyed because its effect was negated. He goes into Kagari. Kagari, of course, is going to attempt to search back the Engage, but we're going to hit it with a Gamma we've been sitting on in our hand for the last 15 minutes. He's going to go ahead and go for the Ziki play. Ziki banishing the Gamma, meaning we're going to get it back eventually, not that it does much. He's going to destroy the airspace, ending on Ziki and Ray, but unfortunately he has nothing to stop us from bringing back the Eldritch and punching over him next turn, and therefore we take game 3. Game number 4, we now have to win a game with our Orcus deck against Sky Strikers and freaking Sword Soul. Oh, this ain't boding well, Chief. He's going to do the same thing as last game, bringing out both DPE and Shizuku on the first turn, which against this deck is terrible, because how are we playing around a DPE? He also has a Nibiru in hand, which makes it just all the worse. We're going to go for the Scrap Recycler. It's going to be negated by an Effect Veiler. We're going to go for the Fusion Destiny, bringing out the boy himself. We're going to go to battle phase, try to beat over Shizuku. He's going to do his DPE. We're going to do our DPE, popping everything on the board as usual, because who likes back row? Both players get their DPEs back in the standby phase, and this is going to be a DPE race, everybody. DPE versus DPE mirror matches are absolutely ridiculous. They're not great, but they're fun. Here comes DPE Bucko. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. Double DPE, except there's no DPEs now. Anyways, he continues doing his Strike Striker stuff, and we're forced to use an Ash, unfortunately, very early on the Engage. He can just get Engage back, but we stop him from going +2 at the very least. He brings back our DPE, and we chain the Nibiru here because we need a way to just clear the board. Unfortunately, that brings Ray back, which is going to summon Ziki. Ziki's going to get rid of the rock, and he is going to set a card, pop that card, which is Fusion Destiny, so makes perfect sense to me. Punches in the face, go into Shizuku, and pass the turn. No back row here, though. Searching the multi-roll, we both get our DPEs back at the end phase. We get ourselves a Machina Fortress, which actually brings Citadel into the graveyard, allowing us to draw 2 off of the Destiny Hero, but it's just not great. At this point, he does get our Ray back, and we get our Citadel back. Citadel, unfortunately, is not going to be able to do much here, because it would send literally everything to the graveyard, and that would not help us. We are simply going to bash over for a bunch of damage. Now he has both Engage and Multi-Roll in hand, which is absolutely terrible for us. We are forced to pop the Multi-Roll as it comes down, because Multi-Roll will end our game, undoubtedly. But it is what it is. DPE is going to pop our DPE. They're both going to chain to themselves. But the fact that he has an Engage in hand means he's just going to be able to search everything he needs to stop us from going forward. He goes for the Hornet Drones, goes for the Kagari, yet again brings out the freaking Sons of Bitch and Engage. This card's unbanned, ladies and gentlemen. He banishes our DPE off of the top decked Called by the Grave. Keep this in mind. He manages to bring out his Access Code Talker here, which is going to be enough to end the game as he has a Widow Anchor in hand, and we're forced to scoop it up. So this game all comes down to the last game of the set, Game 5. It is Orcus against Sword Soul. Unfortunately, we've drawn 2 bricks. We've drawn both Fusion Destiny and World Legacy Succession, both cards of which we need to be in the deck to perform full combo. So we're stuck with a super awkward and super weird way of doing our combo. We're going to use the Scrap Golem here to summon the Recycler to go into IP Masquerena and using the World Legacy Succession to bring back Golem that way. It's not a great play, but it's the only one we've currently got. We're going to pitch the World one. We're going to go into Apollosa. We're going to bring out our our boy here, the Orcus Nightmare, we're going to fusion summon into our DPE, and that's unfortunately all we've got. We don't have the additional summon needed to go into the Orcus place, unfortunately, so this is what we're sitting on. He is going to go for the Tenyi, we're going to blow it up immediately, and there comes the Pot of Desires. Unfortunately, this game is decided by that Vishuda. If he had not drawn into the Vishuda, we would have had enough negates on board to stabilize and take control of the board, ending the game on the following turn. But that Vishuda sort of seals the deal. By that effect, he's able to break our board completely, spin back the DPE, most of all, go into the Sheng Ying, search his full combo, and you all know how Sword Soul works from there. We do get a second turn here. We're going to go for the Dasher to bring out the Scrap Raptor, normal summoning the Symbol Skeleton to bring out Galatea. Galatea is going to be met with a negate, which we kind of figured at this point. We're going to bring out our Big Boy Dingirsu. We're going to then summon the Orcus Nightmare, and we're not even going to bother attacking because we know he has a Sheng Ying in hand, and Sheng Ying completely ends our game. Going into Baroness, Baroness can just blow up whatever it wants. It does not matter at this point. We had a chance, and unfortunately, the chance did not want us. Very unlucky by that top deck in the last game. Very unlucky now. We lose. So unfortunately, this ends our Dragoon Cup run. We go up against the top player of the entire tournament, and we go out on a 2-3 loss. That top deck in the final game actually had me upset, though, because that Vishuda was the reason he was able to break that board. But such is the way of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometimes. Zuikaku would later go on to actually take the crown for this year's Dragoon Cup, beating out King Diabetes in the finals. So, for us, we actually end up in third place. Joint third, albeit, but that's not terrible. This series has been an absolute experiment through and through. The interest of it has been wavering by both me and the fans, has been clearly seen, because a lot of people expected this series to be really grandiose compared to the first. Unfortunately not. There is a lot of things that were needed to be done in the background of this series, leaving me with no time to actually edit any funky business. Next series, though, well, how about I just let her introduce it instead?
You absolute little shit. How dare you leave me out of the entire season? I'm the reason the season exists.
You know, we had to make some budget cuts, a few things needed to be changed, you know how it is.
Do you have any idea what you've done? You weren't supposed to win. You were supposed to lose. I made a game difficult and convoluted on purpose to prevent you from getting this far. Now everything I've made is falling apart, and it's all your fault.
Wait, what the actual hell is going on right now? Why is the world, like, breaking?
You've ruined everything. I'm sending you back from where you came from. Wait, why isn't the button working?
You know, I think we've got more serious problems than your button.